Peace, brothers and sisters. This is Dr. Sadiki Baye coming to you once again to share with you what the Creator has has blessed me with the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in honor of our ancestors. For once again, we are the ancestors having a human experience. So we must keep the connection with the spiritual ancestors. Anytime you need help or assistance, just call on the ancestors. That's how simple it is. So that's why they say follow no man, follow the ancestors. Because they're the ones who were blessed with the blueprint of life to give us some meaning, direction, and some purpose. So we won't be wandering through life freestyling everything. Because don't forget, good intentions can be the road to lead to hell. See, the wise man doesn't go on his good intentions. He goes by what he knows. So we got to start knowing something. And that's why I am here every Saturday to share with you some of the the importance of how to navigate through this thing that we call life. But we have been blinded, we have been hypnotized, we have been bamboozled into a state of mind that there's no understanding. And so today's topic is on forgiveness. Forgiveness. But first of all, we must know what these terms mean. Everything is not just emotions. Everything is about what you know. Because one of the main ways of finding out of or knowing how spiritual you are is that you're not that emotional. In other words, the more spiritual you are, the less emotional you are. You guard your heart and use your mind. So forgiveness. So let's find out, what is forgive first of all before we get into forgiveness. Forgive means to stop feeling angry or resentful towards someone who has hurt you or harmed you, or you feel that hurt you or harmed you. Stop those feelings. So, but forgiveness is a conscious act or deliberate decision to release the feelings of resentment or vengeance towards another person. This is for you. Forgiveness is for the individual, not for the other person. Forgiveness is to lay your burdens down so that you can keep moving. But the hardest thing to do is to forgive yourself. That's the most difficult thing to do. People need to get in the mirror and forgive themselves. Because one thing about life, you will make mistakes through life. That's all a part of learning, is making mistakes. But the key is, are you learning? Or what are you learning? Those are the keys to forgiveness, is to release yourself from the burdens. So I would like to also let you know that forgiving a person doesn't mean that you should forget. It doesn't mean to forget. Always remember. But don't burden yourself down with what you remember. So therefore, let me share this with you, how to forgive someone who has hurt you. We need to know techniques. We need to get some answers to things. We know effects, we know symptoms, but we don't know prevention and we don't know causes. These are the things that we must understand, that we must seek. Instead of feeling that I got a right to feel this way, I got a right for this, I got a right. Well, you do have a right, but you also have a right to those consequences. So let me give you some ways that of how to forgive someone without hurting yourself. The first thing is to move to the next project, to move to the next act. Don't stay stuck. A lot of people are still stuck in the first grade. They remember, here's a person 50 years old, they shared with me before. I'm a counselor also. They shared me, yeah, well, I remember so-and-so stole my pencil in the first grade. Now, mind you, this guy's 50 years old. And he still is stuck on that feeling of someone took something from them. Wow. That is self-punishment. We have to find a way to keep on moving to the next act, to the next project. And that has to be intentional. The second one is reconnect to the spirit, reconnect to your reality. Because you have an obligation, responsibility to stay spiritual. Don't forget, we are on this earth. Too many people are earthly. We have to rise above this. So stay in the spirit of forgiveness. That's very important. The third one is don't go to bed or don't go to sleep without forgiving. Have you heard the statement where it seemed like so and so got out of the wrong side of the bed? There's no such thing as the wrong side of the bed. You just got out of the bed. Where was the left side, right side, front side, back side? How can it be the wrong side? Don't go to bed angry. Go to bed at peace so that you can avoid nightmares and you'll get up as a nightmare. I mean, all laughs is not funny, but it's a miracle that we can laugh. With all that happened to us and happening to us, we are at least a miracle. And no one else can do what we are doing. Everybody else would have fell to pieces and they're out of here. The next one is switch from blaming someone to understanding yourself. If I understand me, I'm not going to blame anyone with what I'm going to do or how I'm going to act. That's up to me. Stop blaming others. Acknowledge them, yes, but don't blame them for the results of what's happening to you. I can be in a cage and still feel free. It's all mental. It's all spiritual. Yes, and we are that. So, also, let's learn to let go and let God. Lay your burdens down so that you can lighten your load so that you can keep it moving. Let go and let God. This is what a lot of people say, oh, I left it in God's hands. Well, why are you still like that then? If you left it in God's hands, then let God handle it. Sometimes, our style is that we don't trust God. So we feel that, hey, God, I'm going to take that back and I'm going to handle it myself. That's where you get yourself in trouble. So you have to be intentional about everything that you do, especially when you're down here on this earth. So be aware of how to navigate through this thing that we call life. Another way to forgive someone is to take responsibility for your part. See, sometimes people provoke things, and then when somebody responds to it, now you hurt. Provoke not evil. Some people don't think people are evil because they're familiar with them. But it's not the person on the outside, but it's their reality on the inside that makes a person who they are. As within, so without. So be careful. We must be like water. And what do I mean by that? Now, water seems calm on the surface, but underneath it's still moving. That's what you call undercurrent. So judge not by appearances. A lot of people can look peaceful on the outside, but they are rage on the inside. Crazy as they can be. So we must be like water. Keep it moving. Keep it steady. Keep it smooth. And that's personal. The last, but one of the most important things is don't live in the past. Use the past as a basis to build. Build based on the past, in other words. Stop living in the past. You can remember the past to motivate you and inspire you and encourage you to build on it. Use it as a base to go ahead on and move forward and free yourself, free your mind. That's a beautiful thing. Freedom. And no one can give you freedom. That's personal. That's an inside job. No one can go inside of you unless you allow them. So forgiveness is very important because it's an act of letting go and grow and be happy with yourself. You must understand these things, family. I'm giving you motivation, inspiration, and encouragement to seek it yourself. Do yourself a favor. My part is to do all I can to give you a reason to go head on and seek yourself for yourself. Show yourself approval and lean not to your own misunderstanding because we have been missed everything. We just miss story. We just a mess. And it's one thing that somebody puts you in it, but it's another thing you fighting to stay in it. Justifying. Don't do that to yourself. Show more love and respect for yourself and each other more than ever before. But you got to fight for it. Most of the time we fight the wrong fight, and that's why we never win. You have to be intentional on knowing what to fight, how to fight, and when to fight. Also, we have to be intentional about removing yourself from the things that are harmful. Why are you around? Some people are around people because of their titles, their faces. They just can't get over it. So they keep on going around these people and end up harming themselves, hurting themselves. And you can believe that hurt people, whether it's intentional or not. You better understand that hurt people hurt people. It doesn't matter who it is. It's always what it is. But who it is can make what it is worse, especially when you care for who it is. So be careful with those who you got your heart there for. Be careful. Because one thing about us as a people, we love deep and we love hard, and a lot of people take advantage of it. So be intentional about your journey through life. So forgiveness is the foundation towards healing. It's a foundation. Forgiveness. Forgive because you know that it can take the burdens off of you. It can take the load off of you. It can take the weight off of you so that you can keep it moving. So you have to initiate the healing. It's all personal. So everything must have a foundation. So forgiveness is the foundation for all healing. Because a lot of things have happened to us. And I don't mean forget. Because if you forget, you'll have a tendency to do it again and again and again and again. That's a sign of insanity. And a lot of us fit that mold. Be true to yourself. Make it real and keep it real. Now, I like to share with you some spiritual benefits of forgiveness. They do have some spiritual benefits for forgiveness. And that is to let go of the offense. Let it go. What do I mean by let it go? In other words, lay your burdens down so that you can lighten your load up so that you can keep it moving. In spite of what you're feeling. Can you do that? And the more spiritual you are, the better at it you are. We got to rise above this physical level and get more spiritual. Just because you go to these buildings and whatever doesn't mean you're spiritual, because no building has never saved anybody. You can only save yourself through your mind. As a matter of fact, you can't even be spiritual if your mind ain't right. Because your mind is the gateway to the spiritual. Because everything is mind. And if everything is mind, then mind is everything. God resides in your mind. You can't see the mind, but you can see results of it. The brain is what houses the mind. Another way that the spiritual benefits of forgiveness is it helps to have better relationships, because better relationships reflecting on those relationships can help you keep your balance. Not only that, it won't allow you to mess up those better relationships. You won't let it spill over into it. Too many of us allow things to spill over into our better relationships, and we end up having regrets later. We start beating our own self up. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Be careful, because all damage is not repairable. Be very careful. The third one is it brings peace and good health. A spiritual benefit of forgiveness is it brings peace and good health, which is what? Balance. Everything is about balance. Everything. Balance. That's the scale. You got to have equal on each side. That's why the purpose of the scale was created, that spiritually is once you pass on, God will put a feather on one side and put your heart on the other side, and we're going to see what's up. Our ancestors created that. That's the purpose of the scale, balance. You can't fool balance. You can't fool energy. You can't. You can try, but it won't do you no good. Now, this statement that, about this sinner stuff, all of us are sinners. We go to these buildings that we call churches, synagogues, mosques, temples, and all that. And when it comes to us as a people, we are always labeled as sinners. Wow. No matter how spiritual you have become, no matter how advanced you are, we still label ourselves sinners. That's the same as going to NA and AA. You haven't dealt in that for 20 years, and as soon as you go in there, you have to admit that you are that. That's a contradiction. You can't go north and south at the same time. Don't allow them to label you. No one is going to know me better than me. If I know who I am, everybody else have an opinion. And God gave everybody right to their opinion, as I always said, like he gave everybody behind hole. So it doesn't matter. It's what I know when it comes to me. So they call us sinners. Now, let me tell you a little bit about this word sinner. That derives from an archery term, the bow and arrow. You got the bull's eye. That's why the bull's eye is always red, because when you look at the bulls, their eye is always red. So they use it as the bull's eye. That's the target. That's the center. Once you shoot the arrow and you miss the bull's eye, that term is called sin. That means that you sin. So what does that mean? You missed the mark. Now, doesn't that make sense? When you miss the mark in life, you are called a sinner. But what about when you hit the mark in life? Are you still a sinner? Family, we need to understand what we're dealing with in this life, how they twisted us around and made us something that we are not. We need to understand the etymology, the original meaning of words. A sin is just someone who missed the mark. When you're learning, you're going to miss the mark. But guess what? By the time you finish, you're going to be right on point. But you got to keep it going. You got to keep it going. Repetition is the key to learning. But they got us so busy surviving that we don't have time to study or anything. So we just go on what we feel. Or so-and-so told me this. No, study to show your self-approval. And lean not to your own misunderstanding, but rightly dividing the word of truth. Not opinions. See, one thing about people who are earthly, they deal with right and wrong. Real people, spiritual people, deal with what's true and what's necessary. Because you can be right in your wrongness, as I've always said. So deal with truth and what's necessary, and you'll be right on point. Let the fools deal with right and wrong. That's for children. And guess what? I'm going to tell you about that in a minute, what a real child is. So they also, now remember, again, about the center. They also say, a lot of people say, or it says in the scripture, or whatever they put in there, they say turn the other cheek. Wait a minute. If a known enemy of mine slapped me on one side on my cheek, are you telling me that I'm supposed to turn the other side so they can slap that? That's a sign of insanity. A known enemy? If they said that turn the other cheek to your enemy, then what is the purpose of an enemy? You might as well just get rid of that term. I'm like Malcolm X. You slap me on my cheek, I'm going to slap you on yours. Straight up. Especially when you're a known enemy. Now, if that was your brother or your sister, maybe you would turn the other cheek, because we don't always have our balance, and sometimes we're not, where we usually are, and sometimes we'll go overboard and harm each other. So you turn the other cheek, which indicates you give them the benefit of the doubt. And that's what we owe each other. But no, we treat each other like we enemies. We'll destroy each other and allow the known enemy to get away with it. Because we are under this illusion, God say loves everybody like you love yourself. Love your enemy as you love yourself. Are you for real? What's the purpose of an enemy then, if I'm going to love them like me? It doesn't make sense, family. Come on. Don't let them school you. Don't let them fool you. They're after your mind so that they can make sure that they're guaranteed, which is connected to your pockets. Yeah, they're after your mind. But be careful. turn the other cheek. Okay. Only to my brother and my sister by giving them the benefit of the doubt, because all of us been had. It's just a matter of degrees. Yeah. So let's give each other the benefit of the doubt, because we owe that to each other. Love ye one another means to love the ones that are like you. Let's start with each other. Love ye one another. And once you start loving ye one another, you don't have to be concerned about everybody else. Why are we the only ones that are always concerned about everybody else? And we skip right over each other. That's a sin in itself. You out of order. So let's get our balance back, family. We have to be intentional. Forgiveness is an attitude. Don't forget. It's an attitude of the strong. Forgiveness is an attitude of the strong. Only the strong truly forgive, and they understand what forgiveness is. That means to lay your burdens down. The hardest thing to do is to forgive yourself. It's the most difficult thing to do, and we must be intentionally get in front of the mirror and look yourself straight in the eye and forgive yourself for all the mistakes that you have made, all the harm that you've done to others, and all the mistakes and harm that others have done to you. Because everybody make mistakes, whether it's conscious or unconscious. So forgiveness is a powerful thing to do. It's a powerful act. It's an attribute of healing. We got to be about healing. Only the strong survive. In other words, respect yourself. You have to have it to give it. So start it with yourself. Family, this is very important, because too many of us are stuck and we keep justifying it. We need to not do that anymore. Be like water. Keep it moving. And in conclusion, family, to know who God is to know who you are. And to know who you are is to know who God is. You get 2 for 1. And when you look in the mirror, there it is. The image and the likeness of God in the physical. Because we are 98% mental and spiritual and 2% physical. But we deal 98% of our time with the 2%. What a shame. We must understand that we have been flipped upside down, inside out by the enemy. Don't let them school you. Don't let them fool you. We know too much book stuff, and we don't understand the principles of life. We need to keep our connection with the ancestors. When you have problems or you in trouble, whatever, call on the ancestors. They're there for us. They're waiting for us. They want the best for us. So we have to keep that connection. We got to stay grounded. Electricity is, the science of electricity, if it's not grounded, the lights will flick on and off anytime it feels like it. So we must be grounded. We must be deep rooted. We must be deep divers. We're too shallow today. The wind come by and blow us all over the place. Now we're angry. Now don't forget, a child is not an age. A child is a mentality. So when you put away childish things, you become a man, a mind. So we must man up, woman up, mind up, and own up. Let's fight hard and smart to get that position and stay in it. Also, in conclusion, and this is very important, just like the rest of it, But we need to stop praying so much. We need to stop praying so much. And what do I mean by that? Stop praying so much and be a prayer. Just be. All we do is, and we go to church or whatever, and Miss Susie May, she couldn't make it because she wasn't feeling good. All we'll pray for, let's all pray for Susie May. No, we must go to Susie May so that she can feel us, so she can connect to the energy, connect to the spirit. Because we are gregarious people by nature. We need each other. So let's just be what we are in this spiritual, in this physical body. You don't have to go on all that I'm saying, family. Study it and prove it to yourself. Prayerfully, I'm motivating, inspiring you, and encouraging you to do that. Some of you might be mad at me for what I'm saying, but that's all good. That means I'm doing my part if you're upset. Now you need to ask yourself, what are you upset about? Check it out for yourself. Family, I love you, I bless you, and I want you to prosper. Forgiveness is necessary to free yourself so that you can maintain your balance. Happy New Year, family. Always remember to stay strong and keep your faith where it belongs. Do your best and let God do the rest. You got to know when to hold and know when to fold. Keep your lights on and keep them bright at all times. Never allow anybody to turn your lights out. Happy New Life, family. Hotep.